Hey.
I'm Alicia.
And I'm Meredith.
And this is Summer is Fun, a Summer House podcast, season 8, episode 10. Or no, 11, even better.
11.
We're one step closer to the finale, kind of, even though there's like a million episodes.
I know, I actually I love this season, but I'm just sitting here waiting, for the finale because I want to see the breakup. I need to know.
Here's the other thing is I respect Summer House, but it should be one episode a week. We didn't technically, Summer House starts on Friday. We didn't even make it to the end of Friday on this episode.
I was thinking about that,
And I get there was stuff happening in the week, but
I went and was trying to figure out how many episodes are left. I think Andy said that there were 5 left of this season. I was like, how? And I literally went online.
Andy can't count, though. You can't trust him.
That's true. He does dirty on Vanderpump. But I also went to the calendar, tried to look up around whenever Lindsay's what's it called? Bridal shower was, and I know they didn't film Labor Day weekend this year, and there are only 2 more weekends, and we have 5 more episodes. So that means every weekend has 2 episodes and then the breakup.
What? It's not that deep.
I know.
It's truly not that deep. There was a few conversations here even that I gave up taking. I was like, we're just talking in circles.
I know. I want to, because I like to see the partying and that stuff. And I feel like we rarely get that stuff because we don't capture a full weekend.
We don't need as much time of them taking in their suitcases and
I don't need to see every person struggling with the door. We get it.
We get it. Yeah, it was a funny bit and now we're done. Okay, well, before we get into the episode, check us out on the A&M Podcast Network. We have this podcast, which is also a Summer House Martha's Vineyard podcast and a Winter House podcast. We have It's About the Pasta, Vanderpump Rules podcast, and One Season Wonders. Please be sure to rate, review, subscribe, which we had a good run with tons of stuff, but not for this podcast recently, but that's fine.
We'll always take more.
So leave us a review. Check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Vanderpasta and join our Patreon, patreon.com/Vanderpasta. Let me tell you what you can get. For $1 a month, you get access to all of our fun pre-shows where Meredith and I and sometimes Sarah talk about whatever the hell we want. Also, you get access to any episodes we record early, including this one. For $2 a month, you get access to everything I just mentioned. Plus, when we go back and we watch old seasons, we'll do a Bravo after show to talk about Bravo news so we can avoid spoilers on the podcast. But since this is a live season, we will talk about whatever on this podcast. And also, I'll say your name on the podcast. So thank you to Allie, Ashton, Chris, Darby, Dee, Gabriella, Jackie, Jamie, Jennifer, Kirsten, Casey, Kelsey, Kirby, Kristen, Lady Swamp Witch, Lauren, Lindsay with an I, Lindsay with a Y, Robin, Sammy, Sarah L, Sarah R, Tierney, Tonette, Tracy, Allie, Ann, Emily, Gina, Isabella, Kelly, Leanne, Lisa, Nina, Taylor, and Tara.
Woohoo!
Wow.
I'm telling you, it's a fun time. I was talking with, I think Sarah Tierney, I'm always chatting with them, that there's so much group discussion and there's so many new patrons and so many things to talk about, not even just Bravo, that this is the best era.
So literally come join us. But thank you so much if you have already joined us. We appreciate you. And then for $5 a month, you get access to everything I just mentioned. Plus, during live seasons, which is now, we have 5 more episodes apparently of this freaking show. So for 5 more weeks, I will post in the Patreon, ask for your questions, comments, opinions, concerns, and I will read them on the podcast. And we'll talk about it. Also, I'll pick a patron of the episode. So this week's patron of the episode, I'm trying to pick people that have never been picked. And so I have a list, but the list is long and I can only see so much. So this week I'm picking Robin. Yeah, Robin's been around for a year now. Thanks so much, Robin.
Dang, time flies when you're having fun.
I know. Robin can't even believe it's been that long. Okay, great. So let's get into the episode because I'm excited to talk about it, but in a sense, because I know there's 5 more episodes, I'm not excited to talk about it. Does that make sense?
That makes me sad because that means you don't want to talk to me about this.
I just don't think it needs to be as in depth as I'm about to go. But
I'm excited about this episode. I have a lot of questions for you once we get to
I love giving my opinion, so I'm excited.
Obviously, I love sitting for 2 hours, sometimes 3,
judging other people who are just doing a little better than us.
And I can't wait to hear your judgments about Lindsay and Carl this episode.
Oh, I have thoughts. Also, actually, I have a lot of thoughts, so I'm excited. Great. So, previously on Summer House, we had our alien party. Sierra and Wes like each other. Jesse's a 2-time cancer survivor and is hoping to stay cancer-free. Paige is apartment hunting and doesn't want Craig's financial help. Danielle thinks Paige is giving Craig nothing. That's how she said it. Nothing. Lindsay gets turned on when her man is crushing life, and her man is not crushing life. And then Carl's stepdad Lou wouldn't marry him and Lindsay. Also, just note in my notes, instead of Carl, I put Craig twice. So I have no idea who's who these days, you know?
Well, good thing is Craig is only here for the picnic, so
they all look the same, and their names start with
well,
Carl, Kyle, Craig.
Next week, Carl and Jesse are on Watch What Happens Live together, and I love that they talked about them being twins because I can't wait to see them sitting next to each other to really
look the same.
Yeah, soak it in.
They look so similar.
Thank God they don't have similar names though. That would just really send
would drive me up a fucking wall. Up a wall. Anyway, so we open up weirdly in New York City on a Wednesday. Wasn't expecting it. Mm-hmm. Just high level, Kyle, West, and Jesse go to an arcade to play some of like basketball shooting games.
Kyle, when the episode aired on Thursday, he posted on his stories video of like them all hanging out from that day. And I thought it was that day. Like I thought it was like live action Kyle. And then when I saw them in the episode wearing those outfits, I was like, you're so dumb.
I don't think you're dumb. I think
how there was a camera there, and I was like, what are they filming?
You're like, it's not Summer House. It's just Spring Hang, you know?
I was like, what is Complex doing a video on them?
They're doing promo shots for this upcoming season. Yeah. Okay. We see Gabby on the phone with her parents. She has a lot coming up. And at first I was like, should this be Sierra? Because her manager, Derek, told her she has tons to do too. Oh but no, Gabby also has tons. And she's not even a freaking model. So
it was interesting to hear her talk about Lindsay's Bachelorette, though, knowing that they like did still go on it. And I was like, oh my God. Like where you guys were at the point of filming, like you have no clue what's about to go down.
Is it bad? Okay, I'm just going to say it up top that like I, during her bridal shower, was like excited for Lindsay. And then I was like, oh no. Like, I was like, oh, he brought flowers. And I was like, oh.
I did not have the same experience. I was sitting there like, oh, no.
Okay, we'll go into it. But first, we got to talk about Paige and Craig. They are on a walk next to a river, but they don't know which one of the 2 rivers it could be. But they're having a picnic. She has never had a picnic for anyone else. But Paige says sometimes she feels like she doesn't show that she loves and appreciates Craig enough. Like how she doesn't want to get engaged or move in together yet. But she likes that Craig can roll with whatever she throws at him. And he's like, yeah, you're really not easy. And she's like, well, nothing worth having is ever easy. So
I like that response. Love that response so much. And she is a big like, she's louder with her no's than her like, hey, I love, or I'm sure she tells him she loves him every day, but I think her no's way heavier on him, where it's like, hey, I do want to remind you, like, I do love you and want to be in this relationship. I know I say no to things, but it's like, no, not yet. Absolutely no.
And I support Paige on this journey. I think Craig needs to just deal. Like, he can't
I agree. But I think that's so nice to see her being so considerate to, like, hey, we are different people, and I need to acknowledge that. He's emotional, and I am not.
Well, that's what she says. She's like, I'm not emotional. I am dating someone that's extra emotional, which I wish they had shaded Craig and showed all of his like emotional moments.
Alicia, I was hoping they would, because they kind of have been doing like those crossovers with Vanderpump Rules and Bravo, The Valley. And I was like, come on, Bravo, pull the footage.
I would have freaking died. Him like screaming at Chef. I would have been like, oh my God, he's crazy. But she just needs to remember to be kinder and sweeter. And Craig says sometimes he just doesn't know if Paige likes him or not. And she's like, wait, I love that you wake up in the morning and don't know if I hate you.
I think that's so funny.
And I was like, that's me.
Wait, you're Paige or you're Craig?
Yeah, I want people to not know how I feel about them ever.
Okay, I'm Craig, because sometimes I'm like, wow, everybody hates me.
No, if I'm dating you, you'll never know if I like you or not.
Okay, we can be in our friendship long-term partnership. That's
I
it.
want you to question how much I love you too. But Craig says sometimes he gets in his head and he's fine waiting for marriage and whatever like Paige wants, but he doesn't want to wait too long. So Paige is like, is there an age that like if we wait that long, it's too long? And he's like, he wants children by 40. He's currently 35. And he's like, listen, you won't give me kids by 40. I'm going to resent you because
Which
you made him wait.
that's not that crazy because they've already been dating for 2 years. I'm glad they're having this discussion because
Yes.
I am Paige. I need more time, but also your timeline should be accounted for in this too.
Agree,
But
but
mine is
also what Paige says
higher
goes.
priority. Yeah.
I got this too. I was like, oh, but what if she just like in 5 years is still like, I don't want it, you know?
That's my
So
worst
like,
fear. Is
I
like
know.
I always, if I'm like casually dating someone, I'm like, hey, I don't know if I ever want to get married or have kids. Like there is not a like usually I make it a joke because that's our
Yeah.
personalities. But like at some point I will drop like, hey, this may not be my long term journey,
This might not be real.
and nobody's like questioned me on it. So like, hey, I said it once.
I've been questioned. Someone was like, but don't you want my last name? And I was like, see, even if we did get married, that
that's
is
never
not in the
happening.
cards.
Unless I'm really obsessed with your last name and just think it fits
Yeah.
really well with mine. My last name is my go-to instinct.
Unless it sounds like a famous person's name. Yeah. I'm not going to take
Unless it really adds to my name.
It needs to add.
It's going to be
best case scenario for you is I hyphenate. Like that's best case.
Yeah, I would maybe add it on. I will always go by my current name, my maiden name,
especially work-wise.
Yes.
I got the degree, not your fucking last name.
And like,
sorry, this is a rant.
No, I agree, but I agree because, like, if I got married at 21, okay, maybe like that makes sense because nobody knows me professionally by like my current name, but like. At this rate, like where you and I are at, like everybody's gonna know me by my maiden name.
Yeah. So Craig asked where Paige's feelings are on engagement now, because they discussed it on Southern Charm, which was I think the fall, but now it's the summer. So like let's talk about it. And Paige says she's not even at a place to pick when they should live together or have children. She can't even give him a timeline, but
this
she's
is
like
so relatable.
But she's like, I know I want to with you.
Yeah.
So that is all I can give you.
That's my dream. I want to find the person who like, I'm like, yeah, I'm very sure about you, but
You're like, this is it.
I'm living my life.
Agreed. And Craig is like, look, I know my next step. And Paige is like, that's amazing. I don't know my next step. I don't know if I even want to be a mother yet. I don't know if I want to like move. So we're going to put a Band-Aid on it until I literally figure out what I'm doing.
Until the timer is going off for you're about to turn 40.
For his 40th birthday. And she's like, fuck, I gotta get pregnant now?
Here's the great thing. Is like we're in a different society. She can just have a kid with him and not get married.
But you still gotta have the kid.
I know. But like you don't have to do it in the like, oh my God, like back it out timeline. Like the minute on his 40th birthday party, you could get pregnant.
I want them to get interviewed together because I'm still just wondering why it's Charleston is like where we're moving. Or is that not still the only option?
I wonder if
before it was like, Paige, when are you going to move to Charleston? Craig built this whole home and stuff. Like, this is our home, which I get, and that's beautiful. But why does it like not Albany where Paige is from? Why is it not Delaware where Craig is from?
I think because the juxtaposition of Charleston is the suburb and New York is the city. And so it's just like, oh, when we move to the suburbs, like that's their default conversation.
You could move to the suburbs of New York, you know? So like.
And Craig's business, I'm sure that's the big pull. Like,
yeah, I'm not judging. I just have that question. Because if Paige's business and brand continues to be in New York and Craig's continues to be in Charleston, they could bi-coastally just what they're doing kind of now. But then what happens with the kid? Like, I don't know. But I just have a question. That is my one question. And I'm not judging either way.
Discuss it fully because you're right. We only hear them discuss it in like a shorter version on TV. Yeah. And like, I'm sure they have bigger discussions.
I'm sure they have
private, but that's a good point. Like
that's only question.
I would like them in an interview chair together. Like give Craig one interview moment with Paige next to each other on either show. Like I don't care which show gets it, but like I want them to discuss this together with being asked specific questions.
Meredith, no, they should come on our podcast and we'll interview them.
Okay, anything.
And I'd be like, look, no judgment, but
Give me
is
the
it
answers
only
now.
Charleston? Is that like, that's going to be the spot? Or could it be Chicago? Could it be LA? Like,
We
what are we
highly
looking
recommend
at?
What
What are we looking at? I have the questions. So, anyway, Craig doesn't want to be a quote pussy and be insecure about their relationship. And Paige is like, look, I'm invested. I just don't have a plan. And she's like, also, I can't let you go. I already put a lot of effort into you dressing better. So,
Okay, why did
didn't
they?
work.
I was like, why do we look like we're in? I don't even know what era of clothes this is.
This
But
also wasn't Craig's best look. So I was
no.
like, I don't know.
She was like, oh, I finally got you to like grow out your hair. And I was like, I don't really love
I
his
don't
hair
love it.
this long.
I don't like it.
I don't like this.
Anyway, I also like when she calls him chicken because I used to call someone chicken, but they're the
I
worst.
like
So
a non-typical like
name.
nickname. Yeah, like after the Babe thing with Lindsay and Carl, especially, I never really loved Babe, but I don't want it. Like Paige could call Craig chicken all day long and it would not annoy
Hi,
me.
chicken. Yeah. I love chicken. Okay, then still on Wednesday, we go to Lindsay and Carl's apartment. They sit down on the couch. This terrible. I can't wait to talk about it. Okay, Lindsay asks Carl about his visit with his mom and Lou, which I might just refer to as his parents, as like
I think
save
that's
time.
easier.
Great. Carl's loves seeing his mom. Lindsay's like, leave you any advice on being married? And Carl's like, I don't know if they said, let me try and think what they said. And Carl he's like, I can't be mad at my parents for being honest, but like I don't know what to do with this honesty. And he knows him and Lindsay haven't always been good, but they're in a good spot now. So he just looks at Lindsay and he's like, I love my parents, but I'm gonna do what I want to do. And Lindsay's like, were they saying you shouldn't you should
what
do
were they
something
saying
else?
you should do? Like,
And he's like, no, just in general. Like he's like, I'm a rebel, Lindsay, just in general.
oh, this was so uncomfortable because he was talking like in
Circles.
and then he would
digging
like
the hole.
say something that would actually make sense, and then Lindsay would like rightfully be like, wait a minute, let's unpack that. And then he would like backtrack.
And he'd be like, no, never mind.
This was so hard to watch, and I feel like this episode informed me as a whole a lot about Lindsay and Carl's relationship. This has to be what therapy is like.
Yes, which makes me think Carl?
Carl?
You're not a very good communicator.
What are you doing?
Well, then Carl's like, look, my parents just want to be sure that we're in a good spot before we get married. Like we've had ups and downs and like just but we're working through it. But he's not trying to prove anyone wrong. He just wants to do what he wants to do. And Lindsay's like, why do you keep saying that? Did they say we should break up? Because you keep saying you want to do what you're going to do what you want to do.
When he goes, then he at some point goes like, let me restart. Hold on. I was like, sir.
Well, he goes, no, that's not it. They didn't tell us to break up. And I was like, stop. Just she's also very calm. She's just like, what are you talking about?
But she's clearly getting more and more concerned because she can tell he is like talking in circles, that it's like, just put it out there. Like, what did they say? Just tell me.
Literally, Lindsay says, I'm concerned now that your parents are saying they're worried for you.
Yeah.
And Carl's like, no, they're not worried. They're just worried we're not in a good place and like the wedding's pressure. And Lindsay's like, so I'm about to see your mom at my bridal shower tomorrow.
That's not going to be fun.
And this has been a little awkward.
Yeah.
Carl, terrible. He should have just been really open and honest and just said, I don't think he thought about what he was going to tell Lindsay until he opened his mouth.
No, until camera showed up and like, or until he like knew this scene was going to happen. Here's two things I gained from this. One, Carl, obviously terrible communicator, but I'm really wondering if this type of the style of this conversation is how the breakup goes down, where it's like talking in circles, really confusing. Like he's saying things he doesn't really mean, or like doesn't know how to communicate this. That's one thing I'm like waiting to see is how that breakup goes.
This episode, I was like, no wonder she's blindsided. She didn't know what the fuck he was saying. When he's like, how could she not know? And I'm like, I don't know what you're trying to say in this.
I only know what you're like trying to say because I saw the conversation.
I saw it. But also Lindsay's very literal. Like she
Mhm.
sometimes, even if you're kind of straightforward, she doesn't know what you're saying. So if you're walking in circles, she's just like, what? And then she chooses to believe you because you're her fiance, and she's like, okay, nothing's wrong.
And your friend for years. Like, why would you tell her or not tell her something
This
hurtful?
was crazy.
Okay, and then
crazy.
second is after the parents' conversation and this conversation, I'm like, okay, producers, like this is post Scandal, like in production world, producers know what's up. Clearly, things are not okay. I don't think Carl like called production was like, hey, I want to have a conversation with Lindsay, but I think production was probably constantly pushing for these types of conversations because they want to get this story on camera.
I think production knew what was happening, and then because I also thought about this, I think Carl was getting pushed in his interviews or like with production being like, if something happens, like we should catch it. Like you want it all on tape. Never forget Ariana kind of thing. And then he then called and was like, I'm going to break up with her. And production was like, we were ready. We knew it.
See, I don't think he was like, I'm going to break up with her because I think he's going to talk in circles and like accidentally.
I think the breakup, he's going to be straight. And be like,
really?
We done. I think leading up, how Lindsay was like, I'm blindsided, because I think every other conversation he has with her is this.
Yeah.
And then one day he sits down and goes, I'm breaking up with you and ending our engagement and our marriage. And she goes, what?
I can't wait. That's the thing. That's why I can't wait for this breakup lately, because I'm like, how is the style of like the conversation going to go?
Also, look, I know I from the beginning have said Lindsay, of course, is blindsided because she doesn't function like the rest
Carl's
of us.
adding to the blind side now.
I hope other people can see how Lindsay was blindsided, because I'd also be like, oh, what are you talking about?
That's
and
the
then
thing.
Lindsay even, we'll talk about it, confronts her mom, like the mom. Mom doesn't say anything, as she shouldn't, but still. Yeah. And then
it's
like
adding to the evidence of like nothing's wrong here.
Yes. We'll talk about
it. They are both terrible. I'm so mad at both of them.
At both of them. Both of them suck. So then it's Thursday. We got the bridal shower. So Rachel from Winter House, Summer House-ish, she's here.
I'm so happy. Like she is still involved with like the group. Yeah. Because her flowers are beautiful.
Yeah, of course. So we have Gabby here, Amanda, Sam, Danielle, Sierra, but no Paige, which we find out later about. But at first I was like, damn, Paige the only one not fucking invited? Crazy.
Well, I at first assumed that Paige was out of town rather than not invited.
Oh, I assumed.
If this was a camera event, production has a little bit more control.
I'm surprised. I was like, Sierra came? I don't know why that surprised me. I was like,
I know.
Interesting. But it is a camera event. So Lindsay's here. This is where I'm like, she's a bride. She thought she'd never be here. And then I went, oh.
I know. That I was like, God, I remember seeing these photos and I was like, God, she looks so beautiful. Like this dress, like this is, what a moment. She walks in and she's like, like she's giving everything.
And then I went,
I went, oh.
I don't like it.
I'm like, you are on the highest of highs right now. And in like 2 weeks, you're about to fall to the lowest moment of your.
I felt bad. I feel bad. It's like I know a secret.
Yes,
like it's coming, and she doesn't know. Even though obviously we're in real life. It feels
like we are Carl's friend, and he has confided in us that he is going to break this off, and we know, and she doesn't know.
I know, when I don't like that.
I don't like
I'm betraying a woman. I can't
have
that.
I feel uncomfortable watching that.
I'm betraying a fellow woman and I just can't do that.
No.
Okay, so also Sharon, Carl's mom, is here. Just a note, they're eating potato chips with caviar, which I've never had because I'm not rich. But
Amanda made this seem like this wasn't a common thing. I listen, I don't eat this, but I see this on like Beverly Hills and like Real Housewives like posting stuff like this.
I've never had caviar. So
no, never. But she made it like, oh my God, this is such a new and inventive like combination. I'm like, listen, watch the Housewives. They all do this.
They put caviar on potatoes.
Yeah, it was on a potato
baked
chip.
Potato. Yeah,
that too.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
the baked potato.
Yeah.
So, Lindsay. So the way the table is set up, it's like Lindsay's stepmother. What's her name? Crystal.
I have a question about her before we even dive into this.
Oh, Caroline, then Lindsay, then Sharon.
Yes,
all sitting in a row. What's your question about Carolyn?
Am I crazy? Have we never heard about
Never
stepmom?
heard of her. I literally go, "Where's Aunt Rhonda?" Like, I was like, "Who the
I
fuck is
thought about that
Carolyn?"
later during my deep dive of knowing like the timeline and dates of stuff, but because I saw a picture of Aunt Rhonda, where the fuck is Aunt Rhonda? And I'm sorry, I've never known that Lindsay has a stepmom.
Never since she was 3.
I okay,
Never.
this does not take away from the abandonment of her mom, but like,
No.
where was the like this type of thing when we talked about your mom, your like biological mom? Where was the like, hey, I do have a stepmom? Like somebody was there for me. She always made it seem like Aunt Rhonda was the one who stepped in.
Meredith, not even that. I thought her dad was just single.
Yes.
Like I don't.
When she said I have a stepmom, I go, oh my God, her dad got married in the last year. And then she goes, since I was
Yeah,
3.
recently. No, this was crazy.
Okay, I'm
Okay,
glad I'm
so
not the only one. I thought I was
no.
like kind of being
I
mean
have
on
no idea who
Lindsay,
this woman
but I
is.
was like,
No.
girl, I needed this a lot. Like when we did the mom's weekend, you were like crying about not having a mom.
When you're like, she's not my bio mom, but she's my mom. And I was like, she's not, because Aunt Rhonda's your mom. I mean, you can have multiple moms, but also
Yes, and I
the fuck?
get on camera. Maybe stepmom didn't want to come for the mom's weekend a few seasons
Which
ago,
would
but
make
like you
sense.
can mention that like I have a stepmom, like she just can't make it this weekend, so Aunt Rhonda's coming.
This was crazy. This okay, good. We all broke
Okay,
for
okay,
this.
thank
Okay,
you.
great. Okay, then well, oh, so we're all sitting and like so that's how we're sitting. Lindsay's in the
Yeah,
middle of Carolyn, not Aunt Rhonda, and Shannon or Sharon.
yeah.
I don't know anyone's names. And she kind of has her back to Sharon, like talking to
She's like kind
Carolyn,
of whispering, like talking
like,
about
"Oh, you're my
where her and
mom."
Carl are at.
And then Sharon like taps her on the back, and Lindsay's like, "Oh, hey," like almost like didn't see you there. And I
Lindsay
was
was
like,
not happy that Sharon interrupted that conversation. Lindsay like might have had to
Lindsay
add.
can't be fucking fake to save her goddamn life. Like, not even for a
Which is
second.
weird because like Sharon has been around forever. It's not like you're new into Sharon's life. Like you love Sharon. So like that reaction, I was like, oh, this is interesting. But it is because of what Carl just told Lindsay. Like that's why her reaction is kind of like not the best towards Sharon.
Yeah, crazy. So, yeah, it was a little awkward, but eventually, like, she says hello and Sharon kind of
Mhm.
joins the conversation. Like, Lindsay, I have 2 moms. Fine. And I was like, what about Aunt Rhonda? It doesn't
Yeah,
matter. It doesn't
I
matter. Justice for
justice for Aunt Rhonda.
AR. Justice for AR. Okay, so then like the party continues. Sharon tells Danielle that Lindsay has a color palette, so Sharon doesn't know what she's wearing to the wedding. And I was like, very on brand. Yeah, that
I
sounds
was like,
right.
this tracks with
Yeah.
Lindsay.
But then Lindsay comes over and like starts talking to Sharon and she's like, hey, I heard you talk to Carl, and Carl said like you had some concerns.
hmm
Which wow, bold to do this, but like props. Lindsay's obviously like I gotta figure out what's happening
And when
here.
Lindsay knows where the problem is, clearly she will like dive in. So I think this is
Yes,
probably how she is in therapy when she knows there's a problem that she's unaware of or didn't start. She may
yes,
not be this direct if she started the problem.
very true. So Sharon's like, listen, I just know there were some fights at the beginning of the summer. And Lindsay's like, yeah, it's been hard. I've never dated someone who's suffering with addiction. So, like, it's new to me.
hmm
And Sharon's like, yeah, it's totally going to be hard. And then they hug. And Sharon basically says, I'm so excited to have you in the family. And Lindsay literally, I think, handled this great. She goes, let me know if there's anything I can do to reassure you that, like, this is going to be okay.
Yeah.
And Sharon's like, just love my boy. And Lindsay's like, I love him so much. And then, I was like,
Yeah,
I
but I don't
wanted to
think Sharon needs to have
scream.
any other conversation. I think this is the exact conversation Sharon should have because
I agree.
her concerns were not truly about like Lindsay not liking Lindsay, but like that's a safe space for Sharon to be able to talk to Carl about like what's going on, and Sharon should not be breaching that.
No, I totally
conversation.
agree. But if anything, this just adds to Lindsay, like, okay, nothing's wrong.
Confirming like things are good. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
telling Lindsay that things are bad yet.
Yeah. So I'm like inside screaming, like,
Yeah.
oh no. But then, okay, so then Lindsay says she's excited for Sharon to be her mother in law. And then Sharon says, Lauren Workus thought I'd be a great mother in law.
That callback scene, I was like,
That was
I needed a
hilarious.
reminder of
I
that.
wish
Thank
Lauren was
you.
at this bridal shower. I wish we had stayed friends so she could have seen this.
I think about the fallen cast members of Summer House somewhat frequently, more than like other shows.
More than normal, more than other
Yeah.
people, probably.
And the Workus twins are top of that list.
Always. I just wish them the best. Okay, so then it's time for gifts, and she's like, "Oh my god, I got sandwiches!" But she really got lingerie as sandwiches, which was genius and hilarious, and I
This,
loved every second of it.
so cute. Really loved
Amazing.
this.
And then Carl shows up with flowers, and I was like, "Oh my god, cute!" And Carl says, "Like, look, he has come to the decision that." This is the time that he needs to figure things out, but he knows he wants to get married and that he loves Lindsay and they're going to make it work. And I was like, okay,
This,
we're gonna make it work.
but that's so damning to me sitting on the other side of this. What
It's like
has
I'm being
happened?
gaslit. I'm being gaslit. I know the ending, and we're not. It's not mathing to the end.
I know.
Anyway, so Lindsay gives a speech. Her and Carl kiss after, and this is where I was like, I see her being blindsided. I see it.
Me too.
I'm blindsided too.
Carl, right now, I am starting to be blindsided too because of everything Carl is saying.
Look, I understand. If we're ending the relationship, I get why. I'm not saying Carl was wrong. I get it. I just also get the blindside part
That's
of
the
it.
thing.
Like
I really wish Bravo would put the dates of the interviews that they did, or like tell us in parentheses like pre-breakup, because I want to know, is Carl just saying this to like build the story for production, like in some of these interviews? Like, is this actually after the breakup, or is this truly how he was feeling before the breakup?
Listen, Carl's not a actor. I keep thinking like we'll notice. And
Lindsay's,
neither is
I
Lindsay.
can start to notice in Lindsay's. There was one where her eyes were kind of teary, like she just looked different, and she was talking about pre-breakup stuff and their relationship, and she wasn't selling it to me, so she didn't look genuinely happy about their relationship.
Neither of them are actors. We can maybe figure this out if we look really close.
Carl's are a little troubling for me. I feel like he'd be willing, because he's been acting with Lindsay this entire time, kind of.
He's blindsiding all of us.
Yeah.
So, it's Friday, 3:55 p.m. We are off to the Hamptons finally. We got Paige and Sierra driving down together. This is great because they haven't spent a lot of time together in a while, and Sierra's like, it's kind of nice, but now they get to hang out. But Paige asked how the bridal shower was, and this is where we find out Paige was invited, and she appreciates the olive branch, and she sees the change in Lindsay, but she's not going to a bridal shower for someone she's not going to a wedding for. And I was like, no, ditto, honestly.
I cannot believe she's not invited to that wedding.
I can.
You've been cast members with this person for years.
Yeah, but the last reunion before
That's
last
true.
time I saw you before invitations went out.
That's a good point.
Invitations went out before the summer. You were fucking yelling at me.
That's a really good point, because like
and saying like we call paparazzi.
Responses were due at the very start of the filming this.
Yes,
because like
Danielle was like, "Am I going?"
That's true, but I do stand with Paige that like if I'm not going to your wedding,
I'm not going to your
bridal. Why am I showing up and giving you presents? My neighbor I grew up with did this to me and my mom. No, and the bride tried to tell us that the venue was small. There was like no room for a lot of people. And we were like, oh my God, I totally understand. Like you're only going to have like 50 people at your wedding, 75 people. It was like a 250 person wedding. Yeah. But other people were texting me at the wedding being like, I cannot believe you weren't invited. And some of these people were.
No. See, no.
Rude.
I'm not going. So Jesse and Wes also drive down together. Wes is still looking for a job. Jesse has a big day coming up on Tuesday. It's going to be his 5-year checkup, which is a very big deal in the cancer community because if you make it 5 years, there's a very low chance that your cancer will come back. And they start talking about like what the checkup's going to entail, and just like hopefully when they check your junk, you don't get a boner, like cash.
Okay, I love that. They really are bringing the male energy we need because like this is funny. Like it's a different dynamic from, Paige and Sierra. And we have really been missing this. And every week I'm like, yep, yes to these two.
This is it. Then we cut back to Paige and Sierra, and Paige asks if Sierra has talked to Wes because Sierra's been gone all week. I assume due to her really grueling modeling schedule.
Like America's Next Top Model.
Yeah, she's working her butt off. Okay. Nigel Barker's judging her weekly. She's
Real
got
hard.
stuff to do. And so, anyway, Sierra misses Wes a lot. And then Jesse and Wes talk. And Wes says, as the summer ends, do you want to go into winter with a shorty? But the way he says it is so I was like, a shorty. I loved it.
No.
It was funny. But Jesse says he's been single for so long, he doesn't even see seasons.
I felt this in my soul. Like, people are always like, oh, hot girl summer, and then we gotta, like, lock them down. Like, I always see TikToks where it's, like,
Cuffing
the schedule
season.
of,
What's
like,
cuffing
how
season?
to line up having a guy by, like, fall. And I'm like, no. I
don't see seasons. So
I want a hot girl fall, hot girl winter, hot girl spring, hot girl summer.
There was a girl that was like single, like hot girl summer, single girl spring, forever alone fall, and just me winter or something like that, and I was cracking up.
It's also making it seem like I have any control in finding someone and like
dating
like them
I'm
by
being
fall.
So picky. It's like this season I'm not gonna date.
Like, if I can plan it out, I will actually find a suitable person to date.
You know what? Fall. Jesse's my spirit animal. If you're like, what's Alicia like single? This is me. I don't see seasons. I'm just trying to live out there, you know?
If someone finds me, I will select them in any season if they are appropriate.
If someone as hot as Jesse is struggling out there, I'm struggling out there. So just
Good point.
Just no. So Wes is like, hey, if you have the right one, would you stop seeing any other girls that you're seeing at the time? And Wes is like, yeah, that's Jesse's like, that's literally my dream. Yes. Yeah. And then Wes is like, oh, I'm really afraid of that. And Wesley's like, shouldn't you currently be doing that?
I fell in love with Jesse even more here. I'm like,
yeah,
you get it.
Laughing, and I was like, Wes, do you have commitment issues? What's up?
I understanding the fear of like, is this the one? Like, should I take the leap? But I feel like if you're feeling it, like, it's not hard to like pause other people.
My thing is, I'm my dude Jesse, right? He's out here struggling to find the one. He finds the one. He's cutting, or at least he thinks maybe it could be the one. He's cutting all communication off from everyone else.
Why am I out
in
these streets? I don't want to be in the streets.
This is my chance. Wes has a potential, and he's like, I'd rather be in the streets. Nah, get out.
No.
Go home. Go home and watch a movie. Grow up.
Definitely like came down a few levels on my like you're amazing, and Jesse just rose.
I know
the stock.
Jesse, I usually am like would cheat on you probably, but now I'm like,
but like I'm not mad about it because he's like, we need that type of guy in the summer house. I'm like, play the character. You're this character, but he really changed my opinion.
Do you think this is he's being a character, but in real life he's like, I just want to be loved?
No. I just think he's more the douchebag type, like the old Carl. Like he wanted to be out in these streets more than I thought Wes did.
Yeah, I would put Jesse more with like. Yeah, I guess Carl, where he like wants to settle down, but he's just maybe not good at it.
Yeah.
Whereas like Wes is like a Kyle, like he has something good and he just can't.
Yeah, where his soul is out in these streets and he like loves to be with people, but not really date 700 people.
The streets. So it's 5:24 p.m. Danielle and Gabby first to arrive at the house, followed by Wes and Jesse. Gabby tells us she has a fucking astrologer coming. When I yelled, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
I was wondering what your reaction was when I was watching this.
Stop throwing signs at me. I don't know.
Okay, here's my thing though. This is our first opportunity that we could probably learn something when we're talking about this. So this is better than just telling me you're not compatible with a sign or like a guy because he's a Cancer.
Is that the one she hates?
Yeah, because I'm a Cancer. That is burning in my brain.
She hates Cancer men?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Unless the astrologer actually sits down, she has to sit down with Paige because I'm a Scorpio. So that's the only person I can relate to. And I need her to tell Paige everything. And then I'd be like, okay, I guess. But if she starts talking about moon and rising signs, like fucking I'm gonna be like, I have no idea.
We're gonna do this. I think we need to do this. Maybe we need to record it for a Patreon exclusive, and we will get our charts read so everybody can know everything about us.
If there's an astrologer listening, could someone just read our charts? Could someone come on?
I think that would be so fun. But I just if this is going to be a topic on shows because it's on both of the shows, at least give me some information to go off of on how to read my own chart. So like I was more happy that this astrology party is going to happen than just the random things that we get said about astrology.
I can't. So then Carl and Lindsay are here, and then Sierra and Paige. Gabby's still telling us about the astrology reading, and Wes is open to it, but he says like if they tell him something really sad or like not good, he's just not going to listen. And then if they tell him something good, then he'll be like, that's great. The truth is in front of me as I go. Just kind of how I feel like I would be in it. They'd be like, you're going to die young. And I'd be like, oh, that sucks. And they're going to be like, but you'll make a lot of money. And I'm like, all I heard was make a lot of money, you know?
That's the thing. Yeah. If you tell me anything bad, I'm skeptical. If you tell me anything good, I'm
skeptical. I'm like, this quack.
I'm like, whatever. Like,
actually, you're perfect. And I'm like,
yeah, this is
right.
science.
This is real. So Jesse tells us he went on 2 dates this week. Oh, also I should mention there's like a group outside talking about the astrology and a group inside talking about Jesse's dates. It doesn't matter. Anyway, Jesse went on 2 dates this week with 2 different girls and he hates them both now. And man, if I felt something in my soul, it was that. That was it.
I appreciate Jesse being out there, and I don't think he's scum for like trying to be out there. Like I really appreciate his efforts.
He's out on these streets.
Yeah, but I appreciate his energy to be out on these streets. I have no energy to be in the streets.
No, I'm not on the streets, and I don't have a shorty, so I don't.
My door is triple locked when it comes to the dating world.
I'm still waiting for the love of my life to just appear in my apartment, but not seem threatening, and then we just get along immediately.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want them to knock on the wrong door.
Yeah.
Like thinking they're going to my neighbor's.
I open it up in my pajamas. They immediately fall in love, ask for my number, text me all night.
That is what happened to my parents, actually. My mom knocked on the wrong door.
That's how you then have to meet someone. My parents got set up, so I'm waiting for one of my friends to set me up or something, but no one's offered.
My mom was like partying with her friends and then knocked on the wrong door thinking she was at her friend's apartment. And then she was like, hey, do you want to come party with us? And he was like, yeah.
That's my
What's crazier is they were driving a milk truck around. One of their friends bought a milk truck, so they basically invented party buses.
With milk. Amazing.
Milk. There was no milk. It was not operational. They just had a couch in the back.
Amazing, though. Wow. And your parents are still married today. Look at that. So, Wes is going to ask the astrologer, he's like, is the astrologer going to tell us who we're going to end up with? Mm-hmm. And Lindsay's like, don't answer. Anyway, I have a question for you. Are you and Sierra exclusive? And Wes is like, no, because you can't be exclusive with someone and not have sex with them.
Which, and Lindsay, I agree with that.
I get it. Yeah. If we're exclusive, we're fully boyfriend, girlfriend, and you're in love and obsessed with me.
We can like leave off the titles for like 2 weeks, but we need to have full relationship aspects in our.
Also, I can't be exclusive unless I know what our sex life is like.
1,000% agree.
Great. So Lindsay's like, no, I get that, but are you like texting other girls? Is the door open still? And Wes says the door isn't open, but he doesn't like shoot down other girls. And I was like, huh. And then meanwhile, inside, Sierra's like, oh my God, I have to go say hi to my boo. And I went, no, what's happening?
Because even if those didn't happen at the exact same time, those conversations inside outside were happening at the exact same time.
I know, it was cringe. And then Wes tells Lindsay that he's not like sending bad texts. He's just sending like kind of flirty, friendly texts because he's a flirty, friendly guy. And then Sierra walks out and she immediately goes to Wes and he picks her up and they kiss. And I was like, you guys look fucking exclusive. Someone should have this conversation.
It would be really hard to be the group outside sitting there knowing what he just said and seeing that interaction.
Did you see Danielle's fucking eyes? I was like, she's going to blow the lid off this. It's going to be Danielle. Mark my words, next episode.
Shout out to Lindsay for hitting those beats and asking those questions.
Ask the questions.
And then what do you think about West and his response?
I think, to me, the respectful thing to do is you like Sierra. You
Mm-hmm.
know Sierra likes you. You know she's been kind of traumatized. I would kind of expect a dude to be like, "Hey, listen, we've been hanging out all summer. I really like you. I
Mm-hmm.
would really like this to be like a thing. We don't have to put labels on it or whatever, but like I only want to see you and only you. Like, what are your thoughts, kind of thing?"
Yeah.
And I know that's very vulnerable, but we're already napping together, like fucking we're
That's
pretty.
that's intimate.
I feel like they haven't gotten though intimate in saying anything until last week when he said like my alien girlfriend, and she
Yeah.
was like, "I feel like you like me," and he's like, I feel like that too." But I think he needs to say something if he's texting other girls. The thing is, we know Sierra is not doing anything else because she's
Yeah.
just not like that. So to me,
It's on
she
him.
thinks, yeah, because he's the one that's like, can I talk to other girls or not?
Mm-hmm.
But I think either one of them should say something.
That's the thing. I think somebody needs to bring up the conversation because Wes knows more, like, of where the status is at. I feel like the onus kind of shifts a little bit more onto him. I think they're kind of in this weird gridlock where he doesn't want to stop talking to other girls until they sleep together and he it feels more comfortable or like
Yeah.
knows, I hate to say gathers more data on like if they're compatible, but like knows more. And she doesn't want to sleep with him until like she
He
knows
admits
it's
his
a
feelings.
little bit more serious.
Yeah.
Like they don't need to be exclusive, but like I want to know you're not pursuing other girls. I want to know that you like me and you want to pursue something, but I don't think he wants to pursue something until they sleep together.
Yeah, I think that's why I didn't want to put, I was putting a lot of the ownership on Wes, which I also don't think is fair.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Wes is the one that wants to sleep with her the most, right?
Yeah.
So, and he's the one questioning, like, would I stop talking to other girls for the right girl? I don't know. So to me, he should just be like, "Hey, what are we? Because I really
Yeah.
like you, but like I also, and if he wants to be shitty about it, he can be like, I just want to have sex too. So like, should I have sex with other girls? Like that's a really shitty way to put it,
Yeah.
but like he's got to figure
But
this
the
out
substance of the
because it sounds
conversation.
like that's his point. I don't know if with these other girls he likes them
I
like he likes
agree. And
Sierra.
it seems like he was just
I think
already
he's
like
being shitty.
I don't think he's being that shitty because the way he said it is like, I'm not like going out of my way to like go flirt with girls and find girls. There were just already girls, let's say, around by the time he met Sierra or in their like first 2 weeks of knowing each other, where it's like he's still somewhat in contact with them. And it seems like it's just flirty text. He's not going on dates with them. He never said he's like going out with people. He is just still talking
I
to other
know, but
people.
is the reason he's doing that and not committing to Sierra because of the sex? Or is he unsure if
That's
Sierra
that's
likes
what's
him because she
unknown.
won't have sex with
If
him?
it's because he's talking to other people because they're not having sex, that's shitty. If he is just like,
That's
hey,
why
we're open and I'm still communicating with other people I was already talking to, but it's nothing serious, I don't think he's
okay.
shitty for that.
Yeah, I don't think that's shitty. That's why I'm also at a
It's the
gridlock.
intent behind it, I feel
I'm at the
like.
gridlock of like, is he shitty or not? And who should bring
Hmm.
it up? I don't know.
And I
But
think because he wants things to change, like Sierra doesn't mind the pace of
that's the
this,
thing. He
he
wants
would
to
need to
change
change
the
it.
things.
But on
Yeah.
the flip side, I don't think she can be mad if she finds out he's talking to other people. Like she's doing nothing to change the dynamic either, to make it more serious and make
I
him like
agree,
have
but
him not talking.
I would
I
be
would be
sad.
sad. But I would be sad. She can be sad all she wants, but she can't really like be like you're an asshole.
True.
So we'll
I don't
see.
know. I don't know. I think it's a complex
I
situation and I'm not ready
know
for it.
this
And
is
I
the
wish.
stuff I don't like about dating because somebody has to say something and nobody wants to be the one to say it.
Also, is she maybe or he maybe waiting to say something till they get out of the summer house? So if things go badly, they don't have to see each other.
I'm losing more and more hope that they
This is why
are
your
a
friends
thing.
need to step in. This is why we see Paige is going to be like, "Hey, I heard this thing. What are you doing? What's up?" Some
Yes.
we got to step in.
And Lindsay is such a girl's girl in this moment for like asking these questions and getting this information. I love the girls dynamic
I love
here. In
girls.
the summer of Barbie, we're finally getting a girl gang.
I love the girls. So Then Kyle and Amanda pull up. He is pissed because of the parking situation.
I would be too. It is not hard to
Why?
park
You're
correctly.
last. You're
No,
last.
It's that the like people don't like you need to make it like a parking lot. There are like 5 cars here. You can't just like erratically park every time.
Yeah, you can.
No, there
Erratically park.
I forget who it was, but somebody parked and then turned, and so they were taking up basically 2 slots.
Take up your parking
Just
spaces.
roll
bros.
right in.
Do whatever you gotta do. Also, then Amanda can't get in the door. And then they're like, how dare everyone hang out without us?
The door
They're
situation.
having a day. So Gabby tells everyone she hired Chef Andrew to cook for them and have a nice dinner, not her. And the astrologer is gonna come. And they're like, yeah, that's so fun. Lindsay, how was your bridal shower? Paige specifically is like, how'd it go?
I think that's really nice since she didn't attend, asking about it.
Lindsay's like, it went great. I'm gonna have a mother-in-law soon. I talked to Sharon. Great. And then Wes hands Paige's phone and is like, hey, could you read this really quick? And we learned that Wes got a job offer, and to celebrate, he strips and jumps into the pool.
Which we already knew because we do know he currently works at Complex, but this was really fun to see the moment.
Exciting, because he does say the worst thing about being unemployed is then like meeting someone new and they go, so what do you do for work? And you go, literally nothing. I couldn't imagine dating unemployed. I'd be like,
I would pretend like I have a job. I'm sorry, I would have to lie.
Like,
I have a friend currently unemployed, and it's she's in a really tough spot with like finding employment because I want her to stay in Chicago, but she's like, there's nothing here for me. Yeah. And every time we talk to people and they ask, my heart sinks for her because I just know.
Does she lie?
No, she's like, I don't have a job right now. And then the other person goes, oh, like they feel bad. And I'm like, this is just the worst dynamic, knowing this was all going to happen.
Yeah. As soon as they say,
what do you do?
You're sitting there and you're going, don't ask.
I go, oh.
It's okay. Nothing. Both of us do nothing. You're just in solidarity. You're like, I'm also nothing.
That's what I should do. I should be like,
you should.
We're on government assistance. We just want to hang out this summer.
We're professional TikTokers. Say something about it.
I'm trying to make us that, Alicia.
I know. You're doing great.
Please go follow us on TikTok, please.
It's time to get ready for dinner. Wes and Sierra have a little cuddle while he's wet.
Okay, this is where I'm like, she really likes him.
Someone needs to say,
she is in a white dress. White getting wet matters even more.
Yep, she did it though. Paige and Amanda talk about how Sierra really likes Wes, and then Lindsay comes in and she joins the conversation. And Lindsay's basically like, yeah, Wes is texting other girls and keeping the door open. And Paige is about to fight.
She's like,
Paige is like, excuse me? And Amanda goes, no, that makes sense, but maybe he's not like making moves. He's just like seeing what else is out there.
That's what it is. It's different to just casually talk to people and making moves.
Yeah. And Lindsay does say, she's like, yeah, I didn't ask for specifics, so maybe. And then Paige is like, yeah, also like, what dude would go all summer without sex? And Amanda's like, yeah, but he knows Sierra's traumatized by Austin. Yeah. So, and I was like, look, I get the sex thing. I get it, okay? I get, but it's just shitty if it's like, I'm just doing this for the sex. That's a little shitty to me.
Yeah. And that's where my bar lowered for West and rose for Jesse, because I think if Jesse was in this type of situation, he's like, no worries. He would be
like, I'm celibate until this girl falls in love with me.
Yeah, which like I don't think is like too much to ask. I think we've gotten way out of control, which like this is not a sex shaming thing, go off. But like if you like someone, it shouldn't be some massive sacrifice to not have sex with random people for like 3 months.
Yeah, while you're figuring it out. Yeah.
Yeah. If if the person you like wants to take it slower. No shame if like you guys immediately hook up. Everything works, but it shouldn't be some like people make it like some massive sacrifice, and it really
it's been 2 weeks and we haven't had sex.
Well, you're not gonna die without sex. This isn't food and water.
I once went out with a guy. Oh my god, I went on a first date and then we made plans for a second date like a week later, just because we were busy, and then we hung out and he was telling me, he's like, yeah, I went out this weekend, like I did sleep with someone, and I was like, okay, no worries.
I feel like he told you that.
Yeah, I was like, no worries. And he's like, well, until we sleep together, I'm not gonna stop sleeping with other people. And I was like, oh.
I don't want it so explicitly stated, I'm going to be honest.
I was like, oh, okay. No, shout out to... I was like, thank you for telling me.
That was the first date?
Second date, he told me.
I feel like that's a little too soon for that conversation.
No, I was like...
Because it would turn me off a little bit.
Sure, because there was no third date. But if that's the type of person you are, tell me in the first 10 minutes,
Yeah, I'm a
please.
slow mover and I just focus on one person. So I
Yeah.
don't, I'm not as compatible with people who are like hunting in the streets, like fielding all the people.
Hunting is a good way to put it. So it's 7:09 p.m. Carl and Kyle are trying to kill some flies, and then we cut back to the Lindsay, Paige, and Amanda situation or conversation.
Mhm.
And Lindsay brings up the conversation of Carl going to see his mom and Lou and how they had concerns. And then Lindsay did say something to Sharon, by which Amanda was like, "Oh my God, I would have just died knowing they hated me. I cannot believe you said anything."
Ooh.
And then Lindsay says she felt hurt because like it felt like being rejected. And she even says, she's like, it's probably only in my head. And Paige was like, no, it's not in your head, because I would totally spiral if like the guy I was marrying, his mom had concerns.
It would make me spiral, but I think that is a like personal journey thing of like
Yeah.
until you know what's said, because again, Carl has never told her truly what was said.
No.
I think she has reason to spiral, but she doesn't know she has reason to spiral yet. But I think
Well,
her
I think,
go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna say everyone thinks like Lindsay's crazy, but she's like, I'm sure this is in my head. But Paige is like, no, you should spiral.
Well, they don't know the true topic yet. So I
No,
feel
but
like until
concerns.
you know, like it is like a
We well,
assumption kind of.
we know Sharon had concerns because Lindsay
Yes.
confronted her about that, and that's what Lindsay shared. So yeah, if
Yeah.
the guy's mom I'm marrying has concerns about me, I'm spiraling.
Yeah, but like there are rightful concerns. Then the people in that
Yes,
house know
but
them.
it's never been communicated to me. So why are there concerns? I'm spiraling.
True, true.
But
I know
Lindsay's like
Lindsay has
not.
huge abandonment issues, and so her bringing that up, I'm like, that is where like
Yeah.
personal therapy, like constant work is probably going to have to be on that. And I hope she is like always putting, like working on that, you know?
Weirdly, this is where I was like, okay, maybe she is in therapy because she recognized that like
Yes.
it's where she feels rejected and it is in her head she feels like.
Yeah.
And she even brings up like, okay, her bio mom left her, but in this situation she's really excited to gain a mom, but when that mom's rejecting you, it feels hurtful.
Mm-hmm.
And
It
I was
like
like, is Lindsay
dusts it
in
all
therapy
up.
or not?
I
Like
think
I
she
was like,
is. I think her personality type and how she like processes information makes her not maybe absorb everything.
okay, but I think she did a good job
Yeah.
here.
And I also, what I learned recently is that like your biggest pain point, I used to always think it's just a mountain you can overcome, but like there will always be like things that come up that trigger it. And
Mhm.
so like this is a situation that is triggering that abandonment. Like you can't just go to therapy for like let's say a year over abandonment and just like get over it. Like it will
Yeah.
always be something in her. It's embedded in her DNA at this point. Like that is such a traumatic experience. Even like having her stepmom at 3 years old doesn't change it. She's always going to feel this way. And so like this moment is like bringing that back up and triggering those feelings. I just hope
Yeah.
she is in therapy and like gets to discuss this stuff like on her own, not related
I
to like her
agree.
being in a couple.
Well, thought she did okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
Paige even says sometimes moms are really weird with their sons.
Yes.
So like Sharon's fucking
Don't
lucky to have you.
and like don't take it so seriously.
No.
Like I think Sharon and Carl are very close. They're not like to the like where I'm like 911 emergency. Like you guys are
They're
weird
gross close,
close.
yeah.
But like I do think mother and son relationships can be sometimes a
They could be
little.
weird.
Yeah.
They could be weird. So now it's 7:39 p.m. Kyle and Carl are talking about the bridal shower. Carl says it felt like a fairy tale, but also he talked to his mom because his mom knows some of like the ups and downs of his relationship. And so they start talking about that. But then
Mhm.
Amanda comes in because she's looking for her shoes. And the boys stop talking about stuff. And Amanda cannot find these fucking shoes. So instead, she just sits on the bed with them. And
What did you think about her joining this conversation?
whoever you can stay in front of my husband, you can stay in front of me.
I understand, but they specifically paused the conversation when she was
It
in
was
there.
funny. It was like she couldn't read the room. And I
Yeah,
was
that's.
cracking
I
up.
was like, oh, you did not notice that they. Because
No, I don't.
Carl did that thing where you're like trying to fake continue the
um,
conversation, but you're not saying anything. You're like
but
saying words, but you're
yeah.
not saying anything. So, like,
But
what
yeah.
I was thinking
So,
was.
and if it
And then
goes
Amanda
that
sits down
way,
and Kyle's like, oh, are you good to do
are
this
you
in front of
joining?
her?
Also, everyone's waiting at the table. And I was like, this, come on.
Danielle literally shouted to the entire house and everybody had to hear it. Like, hey, we're sitting down for dinner. Dinner is ready.
Well, everyone came except these two. And then Amanda forgot, I guess, because she was looking for her shoes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Amanda mentioned, she's like, oh my God, yeah, Lindsay told us about a conversation you had with your parents, and she felt very rejected. And Carl's like, no, it's not rejection. But also, I'm not going to tell Lindsay everything my parents said because Lou said he wouldn't marry us. And I literally went, ouch. Like it hurt the second time. I went,
oh,
you know?
my God.
So now it's 8:14. Carl is sharing his issues with his parents and Lindsay. And Carl's like, I have not told her what Lou said. And he goes, the biggest problem though is this. And we see the cameras.
Here's also a
the
thing.
fourth wall.
The group starts eating, and I think production literally was like, start eating, don't make this a thing, because they wanted this conversation between Kyle, Carl, and Amanda to continue. Like,
because it looked like Sierra was going to go get them, and then she was back at the table, and I was like,
I bet that they were like, no, keep going.
Yeah. So then Amanda tells Carl, he's like, look, I wasn't going to tell my parents that Kyle cheated on me, but we're on a TV show, they're going to see it. So, like, I did. And Kyle's like, and it wasn't great. Her dad laughed in my face when I asked for her hand in marriage, which I also laughed at.
Yeah.
But Amanda's basically like, look, Lindsay's going to find out. So it's better you tell her and you like tell her soon. And Carl's like, I just don't want to hurt Lindsay because I love her. And they're like, no, we get that. And then Carl really starts like getting emotional. And he says he has a lot of anxiety about all this shit he already has on his plate. I assume with his job and the wedding and what his parents said. But now add this to like the mix.
This added more context to, I feel like, their relationship, where it's like Carl clearly feels like he can't tell Lindsay things. Agreed. And like, that's both their fault. Yeah. You know, like clearly Lindsay isn't making it easy for him to tell her things. Well, I don't think she is. That's my opinion. Think she is either. But like Carl doesn't know also how to buck up and just be fucking honest about the big stuff. Like this is a big thing, especially this is a big thing whether you're on a TV show or not, but this is an especially big thing because you filmed that entire conversation.
TV show, yeah. So it's now we're at dinner without these three. And Jesse says he went on some fun dates this week, but you can't fake chemistry. But he says when he dates, he's looking for someone that he could spend like 60 plus years with. And you know, that's what you're dating for during the week. And Danielle's like, so on weekends, you're just, what are you doing on these streets? And he's like, I'm just finding leads. And they all like laugh because that's normal. Dating. Hi. Yeah. And then Sierra says that Jesse's a trash bag and she would never introduce him to her girlfriends. And that Jesse's like,
so mad.
That's kind of rude because like we're friends and I'm single and this is what single is.
Yes. Just because your dating style is different from mine doesn't mean I'm a trash bag human. I think Jesse is going about it in a normal way. Like
he's going about it better than me. Yeah. That's how I should do this.
He's so intentional during the week, and on the weekends I feel like he can relax a little and like let his like what he's looking for, his list, maybe just like fall away and just see if he vibes with someone at a club. And like it could be a hookup and it could be something for more.
Yeah, I think Jesse just naturally has douchebag energy.
Yeah.
So you're like, you assume that he's just the worst.
A dick. Yeah.
When you hear he's out on the streets, you're like, ugh, he's out on the streets. Ew. But you would assume Wes is the opposite. If you're like, Wes is on these streets, I'm like, that's so nice.
Such a
but
good
it sounds
point.
like differently because Wes doesn't have douchebag energy, but Jesse does.
Yeah.
But it sounds like Jesse dates intentionally and Wes is like leaving doors open when he has something in front of him that he can't commit to.
Isn't that so funny how we've pigeonholed these two into like, wow, like Wes is such a nice guy. So his actions come off as like nicer, and Jesse, it's like, wow, like you're just really getting all of them. Plus we've seen like Jesse hook up with a girl in the house. So it's like, we've added this layer of like, oh, he just hooks up with girls.
Danielle's worse on these streets than Jesse. Danielle's really on the fucking streets.
And like rightfully so. But
as she should be,
the
but
scale of the
you
like
shouldn't
housemates.
Introduce your girlfriends to Danielle. That's danger, you know?
Yeah, anybody seriously looking for a relationship should not meet Danielle right now.
Not right now.
Yeah.
Jesse, maybe.
Jesse's
But
like a notch lower.
I like also what he said, because I'm kind of like this. Like, if there's no chemistry, I'll know. And then I'll be like, sorry, one date and we're done.
I don't understand the people who are like, I don't know instantly. I'm like, how do you
I
not
do.
feel it?
I don't understand the people that are like, yeah, I met the love of my life, but our first date, we hated each other. And I go,
No.
I talked to someone at work and they're like, my first date with my husband was so mid. And she's like, I don't even know if I want to go out with him a second time. I go, and I wouldn't. And now you're married to him.
I
I
think
need
it can
someone,
grow, but I think there's initial spark and you just
Yeah.
can feel that like you click in a way. And like
Yeah.
there are some people, well, sometimes I'm just like, oh, I don't know if I want to keep dating. So that's why I wouldn't maybe think of a second date with some people. But like I know immediately the no's. There are
Yeah.
hard no's.
Same. So listen, introduce your girlfriends to Jesse. I think me and Jesse would also make a really good couple, considering we're both from around the same area.
Alicia?
We could go home for holidays together.
I've really thought about this. No, you're moving back here, but he would probably be inclined to move back here with you.
He wouldn't be against it because he already has a life there.
I love this a whole lot.
I'm just saying, I think realistically my banter is more Wes, but my love language and my love style would be more Jesse.
But think about this. If you're dating Jesse, you get the friendship level with Wes.
That's dope. And I'm in. And I'm in immediately. So
hey, Jesse Solomon?
But Jesse's also dating Bot from
Batshava. Are they
Batshava,
actually dating?
I don't know. They went to Miami. I can't compete. I don't have the money Batshava has.
I don't know. That family solely is losing their money, though.
I also don't like that family, so Jesse can't be friends with her if we're gonna
That's
date.
the thing. We want Wes. We don't want Batshava.
No.
I find her annoying. Batshava. Just her voice kind of gets on my nerves.
We could talk about my unorthodox Jewish life, but I like high level, I dislike the entire family.
Yeah, I agree.
So, except Shlomo. He's fun. He's a fun one. He's a little weird, but he's a fun one. Anyway, so then Carl shows up at the dinner table and Lindsay's like, what the fuck were you talking about for so long?
The way those three are just like, hey, as if nothing happened. Like, you needed to prep a story on, like, why you took forever.
When, like, production said, don't worry about them, just eat. So, like...
It calls it out more if production... Because I really do think production stepped in to, like, let it happen. So, you need to come with a story.
Lindsay's extra, like, so what were you talking about? What is going
on? Why were none of us allowed to go talk to you guys?
And Carl goes, just stuff with like my mom and stepdad, and we should talk about it. And Lindsay goes, we already did talk about it. And he goes, there's more. So we'll talk about it later. And she goes, well, now I'm going to be on edge this whole dinner.
Carl, like, come on. You're unwilling to actually be honest with her, but like right now you're going to like tell her like all the truth. Well, like, hey, we really need to talk later.
Lindsay gave him an out. Lindsay goes, was it about Loverboy? He could have said, yes. Yeah, it was a bunch of stuff. Like, I'll fill you in later. Like, very cash. Like, it's a bunch of stuff. Like, don't worry, we'll talk about it later.
And you can feel the energy shift on Lindsay that the rest of that table then is like, what's going on? Which makes it worse.
Yeah. So whatever. So Lindsay's like, I'm on edge this whole dinner. Can we just talk now then? Like, you're late for dinner. You don't get to eat.
Appreciate directness with Lindsay. Yeah, Carl was like, I'm starving. And Lindsay's like, let's go now.
Too late. You should have lied. Yep. I gave you an out with Loverboy. You should have not even lied. It's a white lie. Like, this is not a this is a worthy little lie. Was it about Loverboy? It was about a bunch of stuff, like with them, with me, with Loverboy. Less is more. We'll talk about it later.
Less is more. Yes, and some other things. We'll talk about it later.
A bunch of stuff. We'll talk about it later. So Carl basically is like, fuck, I gotta talk to Lindsay, okay? And the whole dinner table is like,
where are you going? What's happening?
So first Carl and Lindsay like go walk off to go or whatever. And Amanda goes, God, if I was Carl, I would just run away. You'd never see me again. I wouldn't want to have this conversation.
I wouldn't either because you already had the first conversation. So now you're like in deeper because you weren't fully honest with her.
You kind of lied.
You lied by omission.
It's bad.
And now the whole table is going to ask about it.
Amanda, because now we're missing two people on one side, and so the table's uneven. So Amanda's like, I'm going to go over there. And Paige is like, don't go after them. And she goes, no, I'm going to sit next to you. And Paige was like, Oh my God, I thought you were going to go
That's how
with
you know
them.
the whole house knows this is so
Don't go
serious. I
after
hate
them.
this. This is like my worst nightmare. And like having a serious
Carl,
conversation with my partner and everyone knows.
it gets worse because Carl's not the best at communicating. So Carl, they sit down and immediately Carl goes, yeah, so it's about my mom's and Lou's like feelings and concerns about our fightings. And
Mhm.
Lindsay's like, yeah, we talked about that. Like, why are you upset and angry right now? Because he seems on edge.
He
But I
seems
don't
on
think
edge, but I don't
he's
like
a,
that she says that her
I don't
saying
like
you seem
angry.
angry really clued me into maybe their car rides that we missed out on. And so I'm like, you read this as angry. He definitely
No,
seems
yeah.
like
He's upset for sure. He's like
there's a lot going on.
uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yes, you. But I was like, but this is not
He's
angry.
definitely not angry, but he's definitely like upset about
Yes,
something.
and he got upset that she called him
He's like,
angry.
I'm not angry. And she goes, okay.
And I was like, okay, so this Lindsay reads this as angry. This fills me in on some of those car rides.
Yeah. So then but it also fills me in how he can't communicate his feelings to her. Like,
True.
imagine how terrible this car ride probably is, where she's like, oh, the girls are gonna get mad at me for being in a different car. And he's like, can you just stop? And she goes, why are you angry? He goes, I'm not angry. And she's like,
Yep.
I don't,
Because the
and
way
she's
he
like, you
says
are.
"I'm not angry" reads more angry.
Yeah, because he's mad that he's angry that she
Yeah.
called him angry, but he's not angry about
Yes.
the situation. Yeah.
But she reads his stressed as
As
angry.
angry, you're right, his stress.
Hmm.
So Carl says he is telling Lindsay because this conversation's going to play on TV, and he wants Lindsay to know what Lou told him. And if I was Lindsay, I'd go, so if it wasn't on TV, you wouldn't tell me.
And like, why did you decide to tell me now? Like, if it were not for Amanda being a voice of reason for Carl,
Yes.
she would never know. Like,
They would be married, and then they would see this, and she'd be like, what the fuck?
that's how I feel about like when people go on The Bachelor. Like The Bachelor, whoever he picks, you have to be so honest about what happened, like with other
Mm,
people.
yeah. So he says, that's what, oh, tells them like what was said, like,
Hmm.
Lou wouldn't marry us, but they still love you. And Lindsay's like, okay, why didn't you initially tell me
Hmm.
this? Like, this is a really significant thing to leave out.
Yeah.
And Carl's like, well, here's the thing about Lou. He's only hearing my side of the argument.
Which, if this were the first conversation, that could be a valid statement, and you could probably talk this down had you just said all of this up front.
Yeah, but then Lindsay's like, okay, but then are you like, because I agree, we've talked about this. You shouldn't tell your family every like fight or disagreement you have with your significant other, because then
I don't want to, but it's everybody's choice on how they deal with their
it
family.
is. I think it can get iffy, right? In
Yeah.
situations like this, sure, Lou is only hearing Carl's side, and so he makes an opinion and says the statement that then in turn Carl has to tell Lindsay and hurt her with this statement. It can
Hmm.
get messy. But Lindsay's basically like, this is why I don't tell my parents the details of our fights. And Carl was like, yeah, I just like honestly told my parents, like I didn't say anything derogatory. And I was like, I fucking hope not, my guy. Like, I think this is okay to tell your side, but like,
Yeah. I think the conversation we saw was not anything bad, personally.
no.
Like, I think Carl was communicating the right level with his parents on like the amount of fights, and then the concerns back were like appropriate. This just is on camera, and that changes the dynamic.
It's on camera and it wasn't initially brought to Lindsay's attention when
Hmm.
it maybe should have been. So then we cut to the dinner table and they're trying to figure out what Lindsay and Carl are talking about. And they come to the conclusion that they're not fighting because Lindsay's not using her fighting hands, which I was like, that's genius. You're
Gabby
right. You're
reads
right.
Lindsay so well. And like Gabby was there, like showing the hands, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you're spot on because
But
you're
I was
reading the
like,
situation correctly.
you're so right. She's not yelling at him.
She's
But
explaining
then,
something to him.
can someone save Chef Andrew, who's just in the kitchen?
I forgot about him.
I do too, but this is so uncomfortable. Anyway, so we cut back to Lindsay and Carl talking, and Carl says he just wanted to be honest, especially in hearing that Lindsay was emotional about what, like, his mom's concerns.
Which, like,
And Lindsay's like,
I wasn't.
Lindsay, to me, wasn't mad. She's just like, this is a lot to drop on me. I think she was like trying to process. And then
Mm-hmm.
Carl's also very overwhelmed. And Lindsay's like trying to figure out like what Carl's also trying to say. Cause Carl keeps talking like it's not
In like
anything bad and
code.
like it's fine and
He's trying to
and
minimize the situation so much that then it's so hard to read what is actually going on.
yeah, so Lindsay's kind of like, what are you talking about? And Carl says he just didn't want Lindsay to spiral. And Lindsay's like, I didn't spiral. I'm not spiraling. And Carl's I think he's just freaking out because this is such a tough conversation. And I think he
Mm-hmm.
prepared for Lindsay to be
Be
activated.
mad.
But I think
Mm-hmm.
now that she's not, he like was ready to fight and he has adrenaline and he's like, no, I don't know what to do with it.
They don't know how to handle each other's emotions, and I think they like mentally prepare like
For the worst.
they're anticipating the other person's reaction, and so then their responses are always to what they think the reaction is going to be rather than what the
Yeah.
other person actually is at.
Yeah, so Carl's like on defense, but Lindsay's like not on offense in a way.
No, they don't work together. It is very
No.
clear.
But then Carl's like, this is just a really tough conversation. And Lindsay's like, why is this tough? Because I think she's like, I'm handling this great. What's up? But Carl says he just feels overwhelmed by everything. And then we cut cameras. And then
I think like what Carl's trying to say there is like I'm struggling to be honest with you, and like
yes.
Lindsay doesn't read that comment like that. Like they're
But
not
he
getting
doesn't
through to each
say
other.
it either. The two of
No,
them are just
no.
like it's
Like
like oil and
I
water.
can read exactly what
You
is
can read
happening
them. Yeah.
between both of them, and the misreads I can even see, but they cannot see any of that.
You should really be their therapist.
I no, thank you. I
I
don't
think
want to
you'd do
have
a
these
better
tough
job.
conversations either. Like I see why Carl doesn't like confrontation. I can see that.
Yeah.
Lindsay doesn't mind confrontation, and so then she's confused why like Carl is having a hard time too.
Yeah, I think, like I said, the confusing part is Carl's expecting Lindsay to
Blow
do her
up.
worst,
Mm-hmm. Be
and
activated, like
Lindsay's
you
now
said.
not.
Mm-hmm.
And then she just doesn't understand why Carl would expect. I think it's like she doesn't understand why Carl would expect the worst from her, even though she's shown nothing but the worst,
Well, I don't think
probably.
Lindsay is getting the full message either because Carl
No.
is not displaying what is actually happening and Lindsay's not intaking. She's not really listening to what he's saying, like reading through the lines of what he's saying. So, like,
Yeah.
she should be a little bit more activated. And so, Carl should prepare for some activation.
That's the thing. Like Carl's still not. He's very much diminishing. Like he's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Lou said he wouldn't marry us, but like it's just Lou only knowing my side, and you
Me.
know Lou, he's a kook. Like he's like diminishing it. So Lindsay's like, okay, so
So I have nothing to be concerned
what are
about.
we talking about? Like she's
And
like,
then
so
Carl's like, so I prepared for you to spiral. And she's like, why would I spiral?
Carl has his fists up ready to fight, and Lindsay's just like, what are we doing? She's
Yeah.
so calm.
There is I'm so thankful they didn't get
I,
married for both their
but
sakes.
again, I feel like both. I just I don't know.
I
I'm
am
frustrated. I'm
shifting.
frustrated on
Okay,
both.
when the breakup first went down, I was I don't know whose side I was on. I was just in pure shock. Whenever Lindsay did her interview, I was like 90% on well, I would say like 70% on Lindsay's side because I'm just naturally not on her side.
Yeah, yeah.
30% Carl, and then when the episode started, I was 90% Carl, 10% Lindsay, like this is ridiculous. But now I am coming to 60% Carl is blame. So
Well,
I'm
I just really,
60% on Lindsay's side, 40% on Carl's at this
yeah.
present moment.
I really wanted to just really quick look at Twitter because I don't look until after we record, so I don't get
Yeah.
anything in my head. The first three top tweets are like, Carl's kind of the villain. I see why
Yeah.
she's blindsided. One also says like Carl's low key manipulative.
Okay, I'm going 65% on Lindsay's side because, like, that's so true. I think the knock on Lindsay is like her lack of self awareness. Like, always will never. I will never be able to change my
Yeah.
disdain for that. So don't come for me on like. It's not that it's like I'm for Carl. It's that I'm
Yeah.
against Lindsay. I'm against
I'm
both of them.
I'm 100% sure that Carl blindsided Lindsay now and then is on his gaslighting tour of look how obvious it is that I don't like her.
I still stand by that. I don't think he enters that conversation and says, I don't want to get married to you. I don't think it's ever like explicitly stated. I think in the confusion and the chaos, they end like it comes to that. Does that make sense?
I mean, we will see it, but I think
That's why I'm on
I
Carl's side though. Is like I don't think he goes in there and is like, hey, production, I'm breaking up with Lindsay.
I don't know yet. That's the thing, is we just don't know.
No, yeah, but that's where my like 35% on Carl sits. Is
My thing
like,
is, I can see, right? I'll give Carl the 10% because I see he did the right thing. He should not marry Lindsay. Yeah,
yeah,
my guy. Yeah, end it. Maybe I'll give him 20%. Yeah, if I can end that shit. She was unforgivable. But you did forgive her still. And you moved on. And you assured her that everything was fine. And you diminished what your parents said. And like all this shit.
yeah.
Even if she's still if she's a monster, you have to end things with her. If you don't, I see how she was blindsided. And I don't think the question is should they have stayed together. I think it's what is she blindsided? Did Carl do it?
What
Maybe
these last 2 weeks
rough.
are huge.
Yeah, remember when we switched and we were like, Lindsay's the villain, and now we're like, oh,
Lindsay's is a villain in this relationship a little bit. Like she's not like
in the relationship, but not in the situation.
yeah, yes.
Do you think the conversation with Lou and Sharon was fake? A little to like lay some groundwork?
That's what I can't decide because I think production is noticing things are wrong. And so they're asking for these conversations. I don't think Carl is going to production saying, hey, I want to have a conversation with my parents, at the Jersey Shore. Like one thing I know about like reality TV production is a lot of times you're talking with production about your schedule ahead. So you're like, this is what I have coming up this week. So Carl would have said, hey, I'm seeing my parents at the Jersey Shore, and production would have said, okay, we're doing a scene there,
Yeah.
And like had nothing been discussed, that would have been on the cutting room floor. There are so many scenes that we don't get because they don't evolve in the story. So I bet every week, every person is filming one scene during the week, unless you're like out of town. And a lot of that goes on the cutting room floor.
But do you think that Carl knew he was unsure about marrying Lindsay and set this scene up to be like,
I don't think Carl set that scene up.
To like set it up, but like talk to Lou about this so he had proof that other people were like, don't get married.
I really don't think Carl is like that level of genius. Like, I just don't. I just think Carl was having doubts and was having these conversations probably more than we realize in the summer, whether they were on camera and off camera.
True. Okay.
Because like he's naturally having these conversations with Kyle on camera too.
That's true.
Like a lot of conversations are happening like away from Lindsay about Carl and Lindsay without like with Kyle and like with multiple people. So like I just think this was naturally what Carl was thinking, and he just did this shitty thing where he never communicated with Lindsay about it and shows up to the bridal shower and like does all these things and like publicly to everybody else looks like he is all in this, really excited, but to like Kyle and his family and to a few select people is like sharing those doubts. Mm-hmm. And that's where he's a terrible person.
Oh well. Okay, well, next time on Summer House, Sierra kisses Jesse, just a little peck, and calls Wes her boyfriend. Paige confronts Wes about what she heard. Lindsay and Carl get in a fight. Amanda wants to remove herself from Loverboy, and Kyle has a full-on tantrum.
I can't wait for that.
I hate when grown men have tantrums.
I know.
It's like the most unattractive thing in the whole world.
Mad at somebody not Lindsay and Carl for a minute.
I know. Okay. Well, we have to do. I almost said accepted and blocked, but it's fun.
That's on Vanderpump.
And fun? Not fun.
Not fun.
Okay. This sucks because I feel like even in
the situation is not fun. Let's just be honest.
I mean, to me, Carl's not fun.
I agree. I don't think Lindsay is doing anything wrong here. And that's where my not fun is coming from.
Literally, she's the calmest I've ever seen her in an episode.
She handled that conversation. I was so proud of her.
Well, she also literally said, did your parents give any nuggets of advice? And Carl talked himself into a grave and she went, so no?
That's so true. She did the right thing in their conversation at their apartment.
She did the right thing. She also went up to Sharon to be like, hey, I heard you have concerns, which like, yeah, Sharon handled great, but Lindsay's really like,
trying to get the information, like
because she
the
doesn't know
information.
Carl has concerns at this point. She thinks it's just Sharon. So
Mm.
she's like, hey, why would she check in with Carl and be like, what?
What are
Like, can
your
you check with your
concerns?
mom and your concerns? Yeah, it would be
That's the
like,
thing. Lindsay's doing the due diligence to like try and get any information. Like she probably has a gut feeling
yeah,
after that conversation with Carl in the apartment that like clearly something is going on here that he's not
yeah,
saying, but she's not going to force him to disclose the like private conversations with
yeah.
his
So like,
parents.
I think Carl's just not. He's not communicating. He's not giving Lindsay any. He's terrible at communicating. Like truly. Because I
Carl
think
needs
like,
a lot of personal therapy.
yeah, he probably should also be in therapy, not just couples therapy. I think if you're in couples therapy, you should be required to also be in individual therapy.
Yes. Because how are you going to work through the things that your couple therapist deems are issues?
Yeah, so yeah, that's just me. So yeah, are we both in agreement on Carl?
Absolutely. Especially because
Okay.
Carl's the one who proposed. Like, Carl was the one driving this ship to happen and like kick it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, fun. I'm picking Lindsay. I think Lindsay had a
I think
really
that's a
great
good pick.
episode. Even while describing why I'm blocking Carl, it was just for me to praise Lindsay.
Mm-hmm.
I also, it really, like, my heart broke when she looked at Sharon and said, let me know if there's anything I can do to assure you. But like on top of that, she's not causing any issues. She's
No.
great in the house. She invited everyone to her bridal shower. Even like, yeah, why would I go to your bridal shower if like
But
I'm
that's a
not at the
personal choice.
wedding?
That's why it's like not rude to decline. We're on a
Yeah.
show together. They should be invited to a filming
Yeah, they
event.
should be invited, and she did, because I think like if Lindsay really didn't want to invite them, she wouldn't. But she's
Yeah.
like really giving her olive branch. I think she handled her bridal shower great. She looked beautiful, even if it like breaks my heart because I know it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen. But also like her conversations with Amanda and Paige, she also like got the tea for Sierra, so like
So
her friends are
true.
gonna handle that. Like I just like watching it these past two episodes, but this one specifically, my heart just breaks for fucking
What's
Lindsay.
coming? Yeah.
Like, cause I know, but she is still being fun. She's just like,
You know what? In the summer that she thought she was having this bridal summer, but she really did have a girl friendship summer. And like she posted a picture from her bridal party with her and the girls that from the summer house that did attend. And she was like, I'm like, this is what I gained from the summer. And I just think like
oh
Lindsay,
my God, I'm gonna cry. That's so
I think
cute.
it like, it's a bittersweet thing. And so like one thing she can look at is like, you know what? I had a great summer and I came out on top with like the friendships of it and like
Yeah.
really excelled in that like avenue of life, and like love aspect is not everything, like that is a heartbreaking
Yeah.
thing and that is going to be a massive thing for her to like she ended up like obviously was working through. But it's like weird parallels between like Ariana and like Lindsay with that is like your friends
Yeah.
are everything. And I think we put so much emphasis on romantic love instead of like friendship love,
Like
especially like
your
girlhood.
girls being your soulmates. Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
like
Lindsay, I have to remember, has a new man in real time. So
yeah,
like
I know.
she has moved on. I'm sure she's happy. Danielle said on Watch What Happens Live, this man has a job. So Lindsay's turned on by him, probably, you know? But
I'm
I think she
dead.
was fun this episode, even though my heart broke. She's doing all
I
the right things.
agree.
She's not causing drama. She's there for the girls, and I love.
I'm loving watching it. Like it's a nice sweet side to
Change of
this
pace.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, with like such chaos coming.
Hmm.
I love that pick, and I don't want to do it. We pick the same thing for both, but I really vouch for the Lindsay pick on your side. I'm gonna go with Paige because I really enjoyed her conversation with Craig, and I felt so
Paige.
seen of like
Yeah.
it's okay to not rush and go at everybody's pace, and like we are in the season where a lot of people are getting married, and I feel like Paige probably is too, and to not like rush it and to go at her own time. Like I love that. And I like that she's really openly communicating with Craig, and
Yeah.
I love Paige's support for Lindsay. Like they don't need to be best friends, and I feel like they've really hit their groove of girls in the
Yeah.
summer house who don't need to like tear each other down, and how to be the right supportive person where again, we're not each other's everything, but where each other's role is in our lives.
Agreed. I also like that Paige is like at this point 30, 31, and she's like, I don't know my next move. I like
I
that.
have been feeling that in my own life, and so it's so nice whenever you
Same.
see like your life being like
Uh-huh.
reflected on TV.
Yeah. Oh my God. Best 2 picks ever, I think. I think this was
Good.
good.
These are the girls. The girls keeping it
Um,
strong.
we do have some thoughts from last week. I forgot to read at the beginning, but we have no thoughts from this week so
No
far.
worries.
So I'm gonna read them. Kirsten says, oh, her name's Kirsten. Oh my God, why haven't you told me before?
Have you been calling her Kristen? And
Kirsten.
it's
Kirsten. It's Kirsten.
Oh, I see. Okay, I thought you were just moving the R and the I.
Oh my God,
Whenever you said you couldn't say her
oh
name.
my God, I'm so sorry.
We're gonna need phonetic every time a new patron arrives.
Oh my God, she's been here.
I know, but it happens. Remember, there was somebody else where we had to give I forget who told us how to say their name once.
Oh my God, I'm terrified. Okay, anyway, Kirsten says, I am here for Paige calling Danielle on her insanity. I was not a fan of her behavior last summer. I've always been pretty mad on her because of her meddling with Lauren's relationship and then making out with Carl. She told Paige that Kyle cheated on Amanda. She was rude about Lindsay and Carl, part 1, only to later make out with him. She amped up Lindsay about Sierra, calling her a sucker ass bitch, which, come on, that's funny. But non-chill Danielle made it into a big thing. She was unhinged last year on Summer House and was so inappropriate with how she treated Jordan and the guy from Below Deck on Winter House. Oh, that one hurts though, because I saw myself, but thinks she knows Craig and Paige's relationship, and now she's being mean to Gabby. I think Danielle has had a lot of ups and downs throughout the years. I sadly have always been a fan.
Yeah.
I
don't think it was as noticeable because she was more of a B character in past seasons. And now maybe she's more of an A character.
We also haven't rewatched all of her seasons yet, so we have to relive some of it.
That's not true. We only have season 4 left.
Oh, so I've had no problem with Danielle, I guess. Also, Jordan deserved to suck. Also, Alex, that was wild. Overall, I liked that she told Paige that Kyle cheated on Amanda because men should be called out for the bad behaviors. But other than that, yeah, I get it.
On Watch What Happens Live, Danielle said she wished she was a better friend to Gabby, and I think that's the crux of it, of like where she went wrong. I mean, the competition thing also needs to be sorted out, but the centerpiece of it is like you're not being a good friend to your friend. I
really do think it's just she's always been with Lindsay, like it's always been the two of them, and so Danielle at least can reflect on her past like behavior where Lindsay really can't. So Danielle always looked like the one that was grown and more emotionally mature.
Yeah, they're not like in the moment. Like they can't assess the situation.
They're not in the moment, people. No, like it was just
Also on Watch What Happens Live, Danielle was on it this week, and she said that she has hooked up with Balloon Guy since, and that they've talked recently. And I was like, 911.
Balloon Guy Joe? Oh my God. You gotta be fucking kidding me.
I was like, my heart and soul. I don't think he's that cute, but like, you do you, girl.
You know what? Go get laid, Danielle. Do you. Go out in these streets, baby.
That's true. She's out in these streets with the boys.
She's out on the streets more than us, and we cannot judge people on the streets.
No.
When we should be on the streets. But we're not.
He's not my cup of tea. She did say he works a lot, so they don't see each other a lot. And I'm
setting up balloons.
It's the balloon bit too. No shade to anybody working in the balloon industry. It's just funny. It was just funny that his name is Balloon Guy Joe. So every time we talk about him, I immediately picture him putting up a balloon arch, and that
arch specifically. Yes,
that sends me.
I wish I pictured him in like a hot air balloon, but I just don't.
I can't picture him
that would
in
be
a really
hotter.
suave way.
Yeah. Okay. Kirsten also says, I think it is clear Lindsay and Carl were not going to make it. Great friends do not translate into long-term relationships for them. But I'm here for Carl making everything Lindsay's fault. Oh my God, ow.
I'm so curious what he's going to say on Watch What Happens Live next week.
No. Sorry. Kirsten says, I am not here for Carl making everything Lindsay's fault. Thank God. Also, just like note, Kirsten, you do spell Lindsay incorrectly, and she will yell at you if she finds
If
out
you
because
see
she
it,
yelled at Meredith one
yeah,
time.
if she sees it on a public forum, she called me out in our DMs years ago.
I won't post this, but just so you know in the future. Anyway, so Kirsten says, Carl's never been able to hold a job and by his own admission cannot make the money she does as an influencer. Summer House is his job now, but Lindsay is right that when she gets pregnant, he will need a job to support them because they can't just go back to filming Summer House. Also, he's blaming her for his choices like leaving Loverboy and allowing Kyle to do the same and not having Kyle in the wedding. We've seen these behaviors before in Carl
Like previous seasons.
probably one V1-5.
Oh,
What would that
seasons
mean?
like 1 through 5,
Oh,
probably.
1 through 5.
That's so true. I never really thought about Carl's like job. I don't like think about their job
Carl
so
was
hard
jobless season 1.
in these later seasons because like they're all influencers and like let's just be honest about it. But yeah, Carl really has never had like clear career direction and he has had the most career change. And then let's not forget the like him leaving Loverboy, like Kyle was like, you are not like showing up in the way we need you. Like you're
Yeah.
not answering calls, you're not joining or like you're not answering emails, you're not joining calls. Like his job description was not really like clear, but like Kyle was also communicating with Carl where he was like slacking on his job. And if they weren't friends, like you would fire someone who you thought wasn't doing their job.
Yeah. And Lindsay has a point. You should get a fucking job.
Yeah,
You know?
and like the only job prospect you have is your friend handing you another job. Like, no shame in like taking a job with your friend. Like, that's an easy option, but it's more evidence that like Carl does not have a lot of
Yeah.
like career drive.
So Kirsten says Lindsay has her own demons, but I definitely believe off camera Carl has been stocking the fires to get the reaction we also expect from Lindsay, just like Schwartz did with Katie. And with VPR, I'm tired of Bravo giving men a platform that they are just these wild boys that don't know how to treat women respectfully. Having his stepfather wear a more life shirt while waxing on about how terrible Lindsay is when Carl is 50% the problem is not it, Bravo. Was Lou wearing a more life shirt?
Yeah,
Why didn't you mention that?
They did. Whenever Carl walked into the house, Lou was like, "You gave me this shirt," and Carl was like, "Yeah." I didn't realize that he had more life shirts.
Oh my God, Lou. You know?
It was weird.
You're right. It's really not it, Kirsten.
I thought
agree.
he was just pushing his merch, and I was like, why have I've never seen any of this on like Carl's social medias.
Jesus Christ. Okay, I agree. I think this is what I want to say, and I just didn't know how to say it, Kirsten's, but I agree. I think Carl has not always been the greatest, and he just got sober recently, and we've always said he should have taken responsibility and probably have not gotten in a relationship.
That's his responsibility.
That's his responsibility, and he cannot expect Lindsay to be sober with him. And yeah, along with that, like, yeah, Lindsay's a nightmare, but like, these boys are the worst. Kyle is still the worst and he's married. Carl's the worst. The Toms are the worst. Like, that's why I think we crave really great guys on Summer House because we just don't fucking have them.
And it kind of like, I feel like the mask of like how much I love Bravo is slowly slipping because it just goes to show like how deep misogyny runs. Like, yeah, this is a women's network. Let's be honest. Like, this is majority women watch this. Yeah. And, like, the misogyny is so bad and so obvious on Vanderpump Rules. And that's a good point to point it out here on Summer House.
I think the really big problem with Bravo is with it being women watching, a lot of the men are thirsted over just because we don't have options. So always like, oh my God, the men. We finally see some men on our TV screen and it's like, oh my God. But then also with that, these men, right, just from the 4 we mentioned, Kyle, great reality TV. Tom Sandoval, great reality TV. So it gets lost of like, they're actually terrible people and should not be given a platform. But like, they're entertaining enough. Like Jack's,
that's the thing,
terrible person, terrible TV or
like
great
these
TV.
Are the people we shouldn't really be lifting up. But like, what else like this is a business at the end of the day. They're not gonna like cut
Yeah.
these reality TV stars loose when
But I
they bring
think,
viewers.
I mean, I think Vanderpump Rules is a a good example. Like you are gonna our one main girl that we're all supporting isn't gonna be able to film, and like her bestie Katie's not gonna join. So like we don't want to watch that. So you pause filming. Like we
Yeah.
know what we want, and times are changing. We had the Barbie movie. We
We
have
know,
Beyonce
I
and Taylor
know, but our
Swift.
actions aren't behind it. Like nobody's boycotting these shows. We're not boycotting these shows. So like the action isn't there. They don't care if we love the people or hate the people. We're still
Yeah.
watching, and that's all that they care about at the end of the day.
But I think they know we wouldn't watch a season 11 without
Oh,
Ariana for Vanderpump Rules, so they're not going to do it. So I think we need to, with the Barbie movie, we got to change. We got to start reaching out to Bravo. We got to start tweeting. Stop fucking doing this. What
yeah.
did you say? They're so embarrassing
I'm embarrassed by Bravo.
for
And like
Bravo.
this tells me if this comment like reminds me that if there is another season of Summer House, whose side are they going to be on? Basically, who are they going to pick? Because that this cast is not like Tom and Ariana, where like
No,
we can work around that. Like the whole premise is being in and like interacting in a house together, even though Tom and Ariana like live together. They
I
don't
will fight.
interact. They will have to pick one, I think. And like if
Do
it's
not
not
pick
Lindsay,
Carl
if it is not Lindsay, we will
solely
throw hands.
because Carl is sober. I don't want to see him in the summer house. I don't care.
I would love to see single Lindsay era. I just actually really don't
Same.
think like how does this show continue?
Cancel it.
They're all at crossroads where it just doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. Make it the city show, and guess what? They could actually make it where Carl and Lindsay are both on it if it's a city
Yeah, do
show.
the city. Kirsten says, "Okie dokie, maybe next time I'll post after I haven't been day drinking." Oh my god, go off, queen.
Wait, I want to do that.
Lindsay with an I says, "Danielle scares me. Seek validation in men while putting down women. Same shit over and over again. Will she ever learn?"
When did
No,
she put down
probably not.
women?
This is Gabby, think last episode with Balloon Guy Joe.
Oh,
Yes, we know. But
Lindsay has her problems.
and she says, "I need more Sierra and West." And then Tonette has an interesting question. If Danielle was Jesse Solomon, would you read it differently? I don't think Jesse Solomon would like insult West though, if they're going for the
That's
same girl.
I have no issue, which I like said last episode, with Danielle being in these streets. I'm like, get after it, girl. You were in a phase of life that I am not in, and I don't think I'll ever be in. It's just not my
Yeah,
cup of tea.
I agree.
But I am all in for Danielle going to the clubs, getting all those guys' numbers, inviting them to the summer house party. Like I want to see that. Like I'm
Agreed.
excited about that. It's the inciting the competition with Gabby and like not being a good friend that like
I agree.
turns me off to the whole situation then, unfortunately.
Okay, Lindsay with an I says, "I need more Sierra and West," and then says, "I hope Amanda does do the swimsuit thing. I like her style and relate to cute swimwear not being supportive." Oh my god, same. I think Amanda's the hottest thing to ever
I
enter the
know.
summer house. I would wear anything
And
she
as
wore.
two people with bigger boobs, like
Big boobs.
I would take Amanda's
I would love.
recommendation. Any
She's
like
got huge boobs.
collaboration or her own swim line, I would actually take it seriously.
Agreed. Okay, last comment. Tonette says, "Lindsay isn't my favorite, but she's an OG, and I think she's being honest with Carl. We all know they should have just stayed friends, and she's too boss bitch for him. I think Carl needs someone like Gabby. Obviously not Gabby, because Lindsay would kill her, and Gabby would never, but she's someone who does not come off intimidating." Oh, we think Carl has too big a fucking ego. No, I don't.
I don't think
But
it's his ego. I just don't think he needs to like he knows how to like
handle
a
people
really
with big emotions.
yeah, a really powerful person.
Yeah. Okay, Tonette says, "I think Danielle walked away because she was done with the conversation. It has nothing to do with Amanda." Which part are we at?
This was from last episode when I heard Danielle walked away. Danielle said on Watch What Happens Live. Danielle said on Watch What Happens Live she was like way too drunk for that, and I was like, I could see that. You were like, all about the party.
Okay, as much as Paige wants Lindsay to take her friend back, I think Danielle is understanding why Lindsay and those girls don't jive. Danielle mentioning she's a boss with employees shouldn't be criticized as if she's putting herself on a pedestal. Paige makes me roll my eyes with her fucking moral compass. Oh, with her fucking moral compass.
Yeah, but like there
Pages.
was no need to mention that you're a CEO and like a boss in that conversation.
And Amanda making it about her is trash. I'm sorry, but she's only who she is because she's pretty and Kyle wanted an easy lay session. Oh. Oh. I
Oh my god.
oh. Oh my god,
Just like I
Jeanette.
don't think people take Amanda seriously, I don't think Amanda puts herself out there to be taken seriously. Like if Danielle walked away from Paige mid conversation, like Paige would have made a huge like would have not let that happen. But Amanda kind of like lets it also happen.
Yeah, I just don't think Amanda's not an intimidating person.
No,
She's
she
like
is kind of like just she ends up being like in Kyle's shadow
it
because of their
is
personality
I
types.
mean, what did Sierra say? Do you feel like you have a personality besides Kyle and Loverboy? Because I don't.
Yeah,
And though harsh, like
accurate.
take a look in the mirror kind of thing, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
like, look, if Danielle was too drunk, I understand her walking away from Amanda. It's not that she doesn't take you seriously. It's that this isn't worth her fucking time. I don't think, like I said, Danielle needed to bring up the boss and employees thing because she was talking
Mm-hmm.
about a friend. Again, though, now learning Danielle was just so drunk. There's no rhyme or reason what's happening.
I do think also Paige does love to knock people off a peg, like so
Oh,
much.
lives for it. She
Yeah.
loves. Okay, Tonette says apparently it appears easy for people to come for Danielle, and I'm not here for it. And of course, the producers are going to always make Paige look better, but that little girl needs to be humbled from the words of Pretty Boy Luke season 5. I don't like you. Fuck that
Oh
bitch.
my
Oh my
god.
god.
I think producers will always give her Paige the time of day to get her quips in because she does great in an interview chair and
She's good
they will give
TV.
her the time and space.
Dare
So I
I
understand that people
say
don't like her and they're frustrated with her comments, but there's
when
a
the
reason.
circus left, Paige saved the show, you know?
That's the thing. We always need, I feel like, two sides of the house, whether they're like truly at war or not. And Paige is the strongest pillar on the other side of the house from like
Yeah.
the standard Lindsay, Kyle, Carl. Actually, we're not putting Carl in there. It's not like he's some
Also,
strong pillar.
yeah. Also, I love Paige. I do say she would bully me, but I also think Paige is really good at I think she's good at bringing the girls together, but I also think she's really good at dividing the girls into girl groups.
I
She
agree.
has her friends, and that's her friends, and that is who she will stick with. Sure, Lindsay can come in for a sesh, but Lindsay will never
You
officially be one.
and you need people to dislike. You need
Yeah,
discourse. And
yeah.
so
Paige is great.
I think we're at an appropriate level of discourse against
Yes.
Paige. Like for some people, like will always stand Paige. But the way I think people feel about Paige is how I always feel about Lindsay. It's not like it's inciting like anger in me. I'm just like, ugh, not my cup of tea.
It's hard because I stand Paige, I stand Lindsay, I stand Danielle, I
You're way
stand
better than me.
Sierra now, I stand Gabby, I
Mm-hmm.
stand Amanda.
Listen, I'm on the girls hardcore. I think we get a harp on like, West and Jesse Solomon because we've like been lacking. So it's like even more special to us lately. But I've said it multiple times this episode. Like the summer of Barbie, like this is what we needed. Like the
This is
girls are
it.
so fun. We've never had this level of like pretty good unity amongst the girls and like fun girl chats to keep stories going. It's not bitching
I'm fine.
chats. It's like
No, it's fun.
chit chats.
Yeah. Okay, Tonette says, I'm changing a little bit on Wes. Okay, hear me out. Watching Sierra on Watch What Happens Live gave me a different vibe about her relationship with Wes. Like he fucked her over or wasn't what she expected or something.
Mm,
He had the perfect opportunity when he mentioned he called people his girlfriend. Or
Sierra.
he called Sierra to other people his girlfriend
Mm-hmm.
to tell Sierra how he felt about her and reassure her it was going to be more than just getting laid, and he didn't. So maybe he is doing it for cool points and to seem relevant on Summer House. Also, I can't get what Alicia said about him trying to jump the line at the club. He's rubbing me. Oh, she can't get over. He's rubbing me the wrong way. And where there's smoke, there's fire.
Whoa.
I agree. I think that rubbed me the wrong way too, Tonette. When I heard he was trying, Meredith was like, I respect it, but I was like, he sounds like a douche.
I would always try. I think it's him like bitching after the fact that is telling to me.
I think, what did we say before? he doesn't give off douchebag energy, but I also think Jesse possibly has always been a douchebag, so he's like
He
kind of
like
used to
owns it a
it.
little bit more.
Yeah, whereas Wes,
It's like a bait and switch right now. Like there was this mirage that we like really thought he was all this like incredible, nice guy, great, the Midwest, the perfect Midwestern guy, and it's like that's slowly
I'm
not.
also just gonna say, Wes said it himself. He's not the tallest. You know, he might not be like he might have not been the one everyone went for initially. What did we say? Did people have crushes on you in high school, or are you funny now? Wes is fucking hilarious, so we like don't know. But maybe now with a little bit of fame and a little bit of attention,
yeah,
he becomes a douche.
A little entitled.
Eep.
Yeah.
So, okay, one last comment from Tonette. Carl needs to talk to his parents to get the insight and reassure the feelings he was already having. You can see the wheels turning in his head trying to figure it out. Or figure out how the fuck am I supposed to break up with her again, knowing how explosive it was the first time. Maybe he did the best he could, but either way, he got out, and that's for the best. You know what? The first time it was really wild because Lindsay yelled at him on a rooftop, and I'll never forget. And it was all because of the finger
bang. They had never really kissed. That's so true. That's the thing. Like, he has years of experience with Lindsay to be like that is informing his fear of talking to her. That's why it's on both of them to like work on communicating. So like I see some things in Carl where I'm like, I get this. Like I understand, but like you got to do better. You know?
I agree. So yeah, so those are our thoughts.
Ooh. I just feel like it's gonna be. I like buckle up. I just feel like it's about to be a wild ride in the last few episodes. And knowing like when we're recording this, they're filming the reunion. I just have an impending stress for them sitting on those couches.
I know it's stressful.
I'm like, what's happening?
Them the best.
What's happening in New York right now? What's
Should
happening
I go
down
find
the street
out
from
where
you?
it is? Should I show up?
Break in, get arrested, please.
Hi, it's just me. I'm actually just a podcaster, and I'm just here.
A few pictures, a few videos.
I jump in to like Lindsay's defense at some point, and they're like, "Get out."
My God.
I asked Andy if I could actually run the reunion since I don't think he's going to do what I want him to do.
It's also, you know what? All the questions submitted were before this episode we just watched, probably. And so, like,
oh my God,
the tide probably hasn't turned on Carl like it has on social media in present day. Like, what questions? I just feel like they're filming the reunions at terrible times. Like, I think Vanderpump was filmed at a terrible time. This one is not being filmed at the best time. And I get it, you have to film it, edit it, and like get it ready for, release, but
truthfully, hear me out. I would wait a month or so if they started doing the season ends, Andy films the reunion
like
the week after, and we have to wait a month for it to come out.
Even like, yeah, that's actually true. They should honestly film it like 3 days after the finale like airs. So then there's like you can get the discourse online and then quickly turn around and film it and then release it a month after the finale released. I would not mind a break to actually get appropriate reunions because we're in the era of social media we're in. We didn't need to used to do this because we didn't get as much of a voice. I talked about this on TikTok. We didn't have a voice in all this stuff, and now we do.
Yeah, or you know how Survivor does it, where it's like they do the whole season and then they do a live.
They don't do that anymore, but they
used to or whatever. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do it live, but that's just when you film it. You bring them together. I don't know.
They can't really do it live, but like I think we need a break in between when they air so then we can film it later.
Yeah, because now the reunions are all going to be trash, and reunions are literally my favorite.
Also, we do not need 3 weeks of this. Give us a 2-hour block and dump the reunion.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. So, could someone make us run Bravo? Because we're honestly better than the people currently in charge.
We've got the ideas. I need my cousin who works in reality TV to get a show off the ground so then I can actually give my input in like
because we're smart. We're smart about this stuff.
Yeah, and he asked me my opinions on his like sizzle reels, and I love that he values my love for reality TV.
And here's my other thing: someone new has got to host this reunion. Andy is too scared for them to hate him.
And he needs to reach in and get his balls back.
never forget when Nicki Minaj showed up at the Potomac reunion and literally asked a question. I just saw a clip of it where she asked one of the people, Giselle, a question and was like, why do you keep making fun of Karen's age? And Giselle was like, I don't. And Nicki Minaj goes, well, I must be watching a different fucking show then, huh?
Oh my God. You know
and
what
Giselle
I need?
was like, I don't. And Nicki Minaj was like, you're
You do.
crazy. You're crazy. Like, literally, she's like,
I need the audience to be able to
Us.
submit questions. No, because this can be a group activity. Submit questions. And then Bravo can like, but I need it to be like an entire wall of questions and we upvote them.
Genius.
Yeah.
Or just have me host a reunion, Bravo. You
The way
only have to pay
we
me
do
a
the way
little
we
bit.
do podcasts by the people, Bravo needs to have us start interacting in this type of stuff.
I just feel like we would kill it together at a reunion. We would just need to for sure be on the same page.
I don't want to be involved. I don't want to host. I want to be a viewer of this stuff.
No.
But
I want to host that reunion.
I want my opinions to be incorporated.
Okay, you would then
I would write all the questions.
You would do the questions, but you would have to create the wall, get the votes, give me the questions.
We would review together.
And I'll host.
And it would transition into
I think I would be really good at like the question comes out and then if someone says something like, I actually didn't do that, I'd be like, but I saw you multiple times do that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we can have a meeting where we cross over and approve all the questions.
You're together. In my ear.
Yeah.
Just like I have the timestamp. It was episode 3. She said that. She said that.
I love a timeline. So I will prep a timeline and I will be the fact checker.
Is Bravo not hiring us yet?
I mean,
anyway, thanks for listening, you guys. I think that's it. We'll do the next 5 episodes.
Come join us on TikTok, Instagram. It's a fun time. And
we're out.
Buckle up for the rest of the season.
The next 5 episodes. Goodbye.
Thanks for joining. Bye.